All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both books published by Simon & Schuster Saga Press. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Bernard Cornwell's newest novel, Sharpe's Assassin. This is the 22nd Sharpe book. However, chronologically in the order of all the Sharpe novels, this would be number 21. Takes place in 1815, right after the Battle of Waterloo, or after the book titled Sharpe's Waterloo. In between Sharpe's Waterloo and Sharpe's Devil is where this one fits. And so that would be in between books 20 and 22. Yeah, so it's book 21. Now, I've got all of the Sharpe series here. It's been about 15 years since I've read a Sharpe novel, because that's been about how long it's been since he's written one of the Sharpe rifle novels. So let's go ahead and take a look at the entire series over here. Now, I've got every Bernard Cornwell book in my collection. Most of them are on that shelf right there. We've got his Saxon Tales. We've got all of his other stuff, his Starbuck Chronicles, his Warlord Chronicles. But up in this corner, we've got his Sharpe collection. These are the other 21 books in the 22-book series. And I think the last one he wrote was called Sharpe's Devil, which is down here on the bottom. Let's see, it's down here on the bottom. And I think he wrote that, and I think it came out maybe 18 or 19 years ago. The first books, now, just so you know a little bit about the Sharpe series, they were published by two different publishers, HarperCollins and Penguin. The Penguin versions are the ones with the orange. The HarperCollins versions are the ones with the black. And they all got pretty good covers, I like them. The only thing is the spines don't match for any of them. Not only that, but the guy never wrote any of them in order. Like, he wrote this one, they're just not in order. They're not in chronological order. Anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about the book. Let's talk about the book. His newest one, Sharpe's Assassin. The cover, we always review the covers because, I love graphic design and cover illustration. So let's talk about the cover first. This is pretty simple. It's a sword and sort of an alleyway, yes, it's a sword and a French alleyway somewhere in Paris. That's actually why I wore my Paris t-shirt, is because most of this book takes place in Paris. What happens? So anyway, our man Sharpe, he's just fought the Battle of Waterloo against Napoleon, and they've won. Napoleon has been defeated. Now Sharpe has been tasked with going to a town called Ham and freeing the prisoners there, the war prisoners that are in Ham, and bringing those prisoners to, oh my God, my camera, it's about to fall. Bringing those prisoners to Paris. So, along with his crew of Sharpe's riflemen and his buddy Harper, who has been with us through all of the books, they go on this journey that they're not too thrilled with. They really want to go to Paris. None of them have been to Paris. And so they're like, okay, we'll go stop on this prison, and free the prisoners and take them to Paris, but Paris is really where we want to go, because they've heard that it is just this magnificent, beautiful place. In all of the previous 21 Sharpe novels, Richard Sharpe and his gang of riflemen have fought a lot of wars in Portugal, Spain, India, England, everywhere on the planet. Out on the ocean they fought. They've been in the Battle of Trafalgar and the Battle of Waterloo. They've never been to Paris, of all things. And so they want to go to Paris. But before that, they have to stop off at this village Ham. There's a castle there with some people in the dungeon. They have to free that castle, take the prisoners, and then take those prisoners to Paris, because there's one very special prisoner there that the person that's given them this task wants. And that is, and then they're given a guide named Vincent, who knows his way around. Well, he knows his way to Ham, and then he knows his way from Ham to Paris, and he knows a few things about this prisoner. Anyway, they get to the prison, they get to Ham, and one of the things that's interesting about these books is, and I found it particularly interesting about this one, was in the village of Ham, they find a guillotine in this castle. You know, a guillotine. You think that, and they're very stunned, they're shocked by it. They're just like, oh my God, they just think it's like the most crazily evil thing they've ever seen. This machine that will just chop off a person's head so easily. And they're just taken aback with how crazy it is. And I just got to thinking, you know, I imagine not a lot of people, you know, they'd heard of the guillotine. They'd heard of it their whole lives. They'd just never seen one. And I imagine, you know, I just assumed that everybody in the Middle Ages would have seen a guillotine and not been just taken. I mean, I imagine, though, that if I was to see a real guillotine that had actually been used, it might freak me out, too. But these guys are particularly freaked out by it because they're just like, oh, look, there it is. That's crazy. That's like wicked nasty. I mean, how could people even think of using that? That's just like warfare gone amok. And, of course, when someone crosses their path in the wrong way, they're like, hey, let's test that motherfucker out. And so they, you know, I mean, curiosity killed the cat. It didn't kill the cat, but it killed the dude that pissed them off, because they're like, you know that wicked evil like thing we found in the castle that can lop off heads? That's some bitch over here that's fucking with us. Let's, So they do. I mean, you know, hey, interesting. It's just stuff like that that's sprinkled in these books that just delights me. I don't know why. Anyway, the person that they have to get out of the dungeon in the village of Ham and take to Paris is this dude who is an art dealer. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. And a little spoilery, but not really spoilery, because we're still only about 40 pages into the book when the art dealer shows up. And Richard Sharp is, our main guy Sharp, is just like, who cares about art? And why would they need you back in Paris? Like, who cares about art? And then the art dealer, as things kind of proceed, the art dealer's like, well, Napoleon has stolen a lot of very important French artworks, and we need to get them back. We need to catalog them. We need to find out. You know, much like Hitler took all the artwork during World War II, it's kind of like that's what Napoleon's thing was. And so this guy's like, we need to make sure that these artworks go back to, you know, the rich people that own them. And of course, like Indiana Jones, our main man, Lieutenant Sharp, he's like, they all belong in a museum. Anyway, it's just funny. Yeah, and not spoiling anything, but once they get to Paris, Sharp and Sharp's riflemen, they're all excited because they think, ooh, it's like the Land of Oz. It's going to be like the Land of Oz. And then they get to Paris and they're like, looking around, much like I did when I went to Paris. I was looking around going, this graffiti-filled shithole, you know, that's Paris. I'm like, you know, and that's kind of what they're thinking. They're like, well, this was supposed to be glamorous, but it's just a stinky, you know, slimy, more stinky and slimy than London. And they're really disappointed. They thought that thought they were going to the Land of Oz, where castles were beautiful and glittery and everybody, you know, sipped, you know, magical tea. And they realized that was just a dog and rat infested stink hole like every other city we've been to. They were very disappointed. Much was my reaction when I drove my rental car from the airport into Paris. I was like, good Lord, somebody needs to sweep this fucking place up, because it's dirty as shit. These streets, I mean, I've never seen more graffiti. And I've been to New York during the 1980s when graffiti was a big thing in Manhattan. still didn't compare to what I saw in Paris. Oh my Lord. Now, there are nice parts of Paris. I don't want you to think that I'm taking a shit all over Paris, France, even though that's what I just did. I don't want you to think that's what I did. I went to Paris and there were great, cool places, great palaces, great cathedrals. I was there a week before Notre Dame burnt to the ground, but I had nothing to do with it, I swear to you. You know, I wish I would have planned my... This is maybe how morbid I am. I wish I would have planned my Paris trip a week later. Because I was in Notre Dame a week to the day before it burnt. Had I planned my trip a week later, I would have been there in the midst of the fire. That would have been cool. I would have just been selfieing the shit out of myself. I mean, if there's a time machine, we might, that's probably, if we ever get a time machine, that's where I'm headed. Anyway. Sharpe's Assassin. It's a good book. I love the Sharpe series. I mean, I love everything Bernard Cornwell does. That's why I've got every one of his books here in my collection. Sharpe's Assassin, I give this a good 8.5 out of 10. I will tell you, we're going to be reviewing all the Sharpe books eventually on my channel. My very favorite one is Sharpe's Tiger. Then all of them kind of pale in comparison to that. That's like a 10.5 out of 10. This is an 8.5 out of 10. A very good adventure, very good Sharpe adventure. I hadn't read Sharpe for, like I said, 15, 16 years. It was good to visit with him again and follow him around on his adventures. And he's just a badass. Sharpe is a badass.